for the April Disadvantaged Business and Workforce Advisory Committee for the Green Line Extension project. Thank you to committee members and to alternates for taking the time to be here today. I know we have a full agenda today, as always. Want us to get started. This is my interim co-chair's second meeting, so he's a pro now. He's all worked in. He's a pro. He's got no learning curve is already there. But again, another welcome to Scott Butel from Minnesota Department of Human Rights. For those of you who may not have been at the last meeting, I wanted to definitely introduce him as well. Oh, go ahead.
I just said thank you.
Okay. I'm not going to read my little spiel about COVID, although we will be having a conversation later in the agenda relative to how we move forward with our meetings. But just as an information only purposes, the council will be going back to in-person public meetings for council and standing committees on April 25th. And us as council employees have started to return back to the office either in a hybrid state or full-time going back to the 18th. So that said, also we'll go through our housekeeping items. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. If you are having technical difficulties, please let us know in the chat and we'll try and help you resolve them. Please close any other teleconferencing apps that you have or may have had open from other meetings. And this meeting is being recorded by the Met Council. Meeting handouts and presentations are posted on the project website and can be accessed there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott to conduct the roll call.
All right, thanks. So I will just go through the roll call quick, and if you are here, if you can just say so. And I will, I think, only read the alternates if the member is not here, if that's okay with folks, just to expedite things. So just gonna mark myself here, Ashanti here, and Elaine here, since I know we're all here. So first member, Barry Davies. Looks like a no. In that case, is the alternate Jenny Winkler here? Looks like a no as well. Gilbert, are you here?
Yes, I am, Scott.
Great, thank you. Is Barb Lau here?
No, she is not, but I, Kendra Cronum, here as her alternate.
Okay, great, thank you. Is Marvin Smith here?
I am.
Great, thank you. Sheila Olson? No. Is Christine Bronson here? Take that as a no. Julie Brecky?
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Thank you. Is Tony O'Brien here?
I am. Good afternoon.
Great. You. Alex Merritt, are you here? Great, thank you. Leslie Woley? Sorry if I mispronounced your last name. It's like no. Is Daniel Peterson here instead? Sorry, just list. Mara Brown.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you. John O'Fallon. I saw you here somewhere.
I'm present. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And Mary Schmidt. Is Sheila Copy here?
Sheila Kelpie is here.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Just taking my notes here. And then for presenters, go through here real quick as well. Is Thomas Scott here?
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you. And Sheila, I see that you are now here. Thanks. Is Nick Dial here?
Yeah, this is Nick.
Okay, thanks. Is Dave Davies here? Looks like he is not.
I am here. Yep.
Oh, you are here. Great. Thanks. Yeah, Lucio, are you here? Looks like you're here.
Yep, I'm here, Scott. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Dale Evan?
Dale will not be today.
Okay, no problem. Krista, I know you're here.
Yep.
Katie Mouse? Here today?
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you. Michael Tony?
Yep, present.
Right, thank you. Chris Cannon?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Brian Leitch?
Brian Leach is not on, but Monica Robinson is.
Oh, great. Thank you. And apologies for mispronouncing folks' last names. And Eli, or are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. Let me just update my note about Sheila. Good to go. All right. So that is the roll call. So now we will do the review of the March 2022 meeting minutes. So the minutes were included in the handout for the review. If there are any edits, please let us know now for staff to capture, or you can email them to the co-chairs and we can make those fixes. Were there any edits folks had to those meeting minutes? Awesome. Well, hearing none, I will turn it over for the Building Strong Communities update.
We have the slide. All right, so let's see if are you able to increase that at all? Or let's see, I think I can increase it on my screen here. So this is what the slide that I submitted our last meeting. This is kind of gives you a snapshot of where we started our Building Strong Communities program with 43 participants, 81% of our target goal of women, people of color, and veterans, spread across 15 different trades. There was 8 weeks of virtual construction training administered in partnership with North Hennepin Community College. We did 4 weeks of emotional intelligence training with our partners, Twin Cities Rise. We have done site tours. That first one was, well, actually, that was an event with the Southwest LRT joint venture, a speed education where we brought our participants and a bunch of contractors together on March 29th to just expose them to the industry, both contractors and union officials. And then right now we are in our 4 weeks of hands-on training at the different training centers and going through site visits. And then once we complete that through May and June, we will do apprenticeship placement and support and continue to support their apprenticeships throughout the first year of the program. So that's kind of the overview of Building Strong Communities and where we started. If we can go to the next slide. This gives you an idea of where we are. We're still at 81% of our target audience with 37 participants remaining. We have completed our 8 weeks of virtual construction training. We are actually in week 10 right now. So again, we've done the 4 weeks of emotional intelligence. We did a physical awareness day in the metro area as well as Duluth, where we had them work at a full day at just building scaffolding, walking 3 miles, tying rebar, moving materials, learning the proper way to work in teams to, move things. They worked on rigging. And so just a lot of things to expose them to the physical nature of construction. We had our mock interviews spread out over 3 days. We did, as I mentioned, the speed education day with the contractors and union officials. We distributed PPE to everyone on March 29th. They all went through a math assessment to determine which trades they could have more success in. Those skilled or licensed trades like the electricians, the sheet metal workers, the pipe trades, the plumbers, sprinkler fitters, and pipe fitters. Again, you have to have a higher level of math in order to go into those trades. And so we definitely want to do an assessment so that we know where they are. We've gotten through our drug screening. We issued boots to everyone. And currently we're in our final, actually 2 weeks now, of our hands-on training and visit and site visits. We started the 2-week training at the laborers union this week. We've got 7 individuals there. Next week, we're doing a bunch of one-day training events. The operating engineers is on Monday. On Tuesday, we'll be at the Cement Masons Training Center, so they'll spend all day there. On Wednesday, they'll spend all day at the finishing trades with the painters and allied tradespeople. So just a lot of good stuff going on with 2 weeks left in the program. Of those 37 participants, 5 have already been extended apprenticeship opportunities. So we've got 1 operating engineer, 2 laborers, and 2 iron workers already that have received apprenticeship opportunities. And we've been on several construction site visits just earlier today, and I'm sure Krista will have some pictures to back up our event today. But we were on the Green Line extension today. We had a handful of our participants go there, and I won't steal too much of Krista's thunder, but it was an outstanding event. We had the safety director talk to us about safety. We actually walked up the ladder onto the bridge, and so we got a lot of footage up there, and it was just a really, really cool experience. And so graduation is on May 5th, but between now and then, we anticipate that there'll be a lot more apprenticeship offers made and individuals that'll be starting a great career. So we're pretty excited that things are going according to plan. So that's where we are right now. In our next meeting, I hope to have an even better update.
Great. Thank you for the update. Appreciate that. Appreciate those progress steps. That's great to hear. So next, we're going to get an update from the Green Line Extension Project Office.
Oh, sorry for my poor lighting here. So yeah, this is Nick Dial, Director of Construction for Southwest Light Rail. Just going through some project updates here. In March, we signed a settlement agreement with LMJV, outlines some of the various change orders that we've had up from December 31st, that 2022 should say 2021, resolves change orders for time based off of change orders we've experienced up to December 31st, 2021. The high, I guess the major change orders that are in there would reflect time required for the corridor protection barrier, the Kenilworth tunnel redesign, i.e. the C-camp wall that we're installing in the Kenilworth corridor, and then the addition of the Eden Prairie Town Center station. This establishes a new civil construction schedule, can realigns project delivery from multiple segments being delivered on both the east and western sides of the project to more of a western to eastern delivery mechanism. This also establishes a process to resolve known disputes prior to December 31st, 2021, and avoids potential litigation. Next slide. This established in the new civil construction schedule adds approximately 34 and a half months to the overall final completion date for the project. 30 of those months council is acknowledging as due to the change orders, and we are taking 4.5 months that are going to be subject to dispute resolution as we move through that process with the settlement agreement. The original civil construction completion date was October 31st, 2022, and our new civil construction completion date will now be September 18th, 2025. This agreement also established new milestones, like kind of what I was saying on the previous slide, as far as moving in a westerly to eastern direction from Eden Prairie up through Minneapolis, and how those are being delivered, and not only delivered, but continued construction with our systems contractor, Aldrich Parsons joint venture. It also establishes some new liquidated damages values, and we're currently awaiting signature on a zero cost change order to and essentially bring some of the finer details within the agreement into the contract. Next slide. The settlement agreement dispute resolution process is just a process to resolve disputes in order to keep construction moving forward as we move through the identified areas within the settlement agreement. If we can't reach agreement, it allows an evaluative mediator to help the parties to reach an agreement, and then if those disputes continue unresolved, then we'll enter binding arbitration. The process will resolve costs in the following categories. These are for extended performance, labor and material escalation, subcontractor costs, and impacts to the productivity of work performed from December 31st, 2021, up to December 31st, 2021. Next slide. Here's our next steps. So we've essentially completed the revised construction schedule with London McCrossin joint venture, and now we're in the middle of getting some revised baseline information from Aldrich Parsons joint venture, the systems contract, and then we'll be moving towards the revised supporting contracts and testing, and that will give us our revised project opening day and costs. So at this point in time, we're comfortable in saying that revenue service is approximately in 2027, and the preliminary estimates for the project cost is going to be for total project cost is 2.65 billion to 2.75 billion. And the revised costs and revenue service date will be established when all agreements are finalized. Next slide. Here's some construction work that we're seeing on segment 3, which is some ballasted track work being performed by Railworks Delta and some of their subcontractors. You can see the tamper on the guideway there, and as we're leading through track construction in segment 3, and as it nears completion. Next slide. Here's some direct fixation track that's in the Trunk Highway 62 tunnel in Minnetonka. Next slide. Here's some retaining wall construction activities on the left. You can see the noise wall barriers, and then on the right is some of the retaining walls that are nearing completion. Down if you squint, you can see some crane activity and some concrete pumps as they're completing retaining wall 327, which is adjacent to Boston Scientific over there in Minnetonka. Next slide. Here's Blake Road pedestrian underpass, just some of the retaining walls as we move through that. You can see the tunnel in the background there, as with the sheet pile wall will shortly be pulled, and we'll begin regrading that area. Next slide. Here's southerly connector, which you can see these tall retaining walls as the freight rail will be going over this portion of the guideway there. As we this bridge is immediately adjacent to the Louisiana Avenue station in St. Louis Park. Next slide. And here's some Kenilworth LRT tunnel excavation activities as we're resuming excavation next to what we had termed the short sheet repair adjacent to Sika, or about 750 feet away from Sika, and we're continuing excavation and moving toward the Cedar Lake Parkway. Next slide. That's all for me.
Nick?
Yeah.
This is Shanti. You did have a question. It was put into the chat. Question was, is there a clause for fuel escalation? Or does the council have a plan for dealing with fuel escalation on this contract? And if yes, does that include trucking?
I think that we are discussing what is it for fuel escalation prior to 2021 should be included in the settlement agreement, and then any kind of escalation after 2021 should be negotiated with the prime contractor, or at least discussed, and then I'll discuss it. I can discuss it further with Dale.
Any other questions for the project office team? Nick? All right, thank you. Moving on to DB Achievement Report. Next slide, please. So as you can see from the last report to this month's report, the DB activity on the civil contract has slowed down a little bit. Achievement has decreased by 1%. However, the systems contract has increased by 1%. And the Franklin O&M project is continuing to close out the punch list items. So the DB activity, of course, is minimal. And until all items are complete, we won't be able to close out this contract with a final achievement report and process. And we're still meeting or exceeding the goal, so it's a good thing. And I hope to continue to do so. That's the plan. Next slide. One thing I do want to mention, even though I know Barb is not here, I know she would ask this question. If we can go back to the other slide, I'm sorry. The contract changes on the Franklin report, even though there's only closeout, is the changes are reflective of some of the final contract amounts after the contracts have been updated with the change order amounts. So that would be the changes that you see there. And there is a large decrease in the Crocus Hill contract. And we did reach out to the DBE Crocus Hill, and they reported that all the items they planned to order for this project were completed and paid for. So some of the supplied items from the original bid were removed and never ordered. So any additional questions relative to those specific items will be answered by Ellis Black, when they come back in May to do a kind of a final report and lessons learned for the May meeting. Any questions? All right. Next up, we have Krista to give us an update on the civil DBE activities.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ashante. So we'll go into it, dive right in with our first slide. We are highlighting this month Kathy, Boys Water Products, a great DB that has been in the industry for quite some time now. And for me, being on the highway heavy now compared to the vertical, it's great to be able to have Kathy and her crew on our project. They are a second tier subcontractor supplier for us with Minger Construction. Great contractor, great partnership between the two of them. The comments from all of our field, it's really exciting to hear the comments. As you can see, their contract to date is $900,000. Estimated completion is 2 summers from now. And I had to pick. I got 6 responses from people when I reached out regarding giving me a statement about working with boys. And Wyatt Held, who is a project manager from Minger, had this to say, that Boys Water Products is an excellent team to work with. They're very creative in identifying material sourcing solutions, which is particularly helpful in the current operating environment. It has been interesting having meetings with Kathy and the Minger team regarding the opportunities they've had to show their expertise, in the services they provide. And seriously, to have them a part of the light rail team as a DBE representative, great. So it's really fun to highlight them. Next slide, please. So I just gave a quick overview of the activities that I've been involved with over the past month. Big deal was attending the Association of Women Contractors annual awards luncheon. That was very fun to see, and it's awesome having Kendra on today. So thank you for being a part of our project, Kendra. But it was really fun, the handing over of the gavel from the past president to the current president is really neat to see. It's fun to watch the growth of the individuals. Kia Isaacson was an individual. She was Lakeside Area Flooring, great DBE contractor as well. She handed over the gavel, and boy, has that individual grown in her presentation opportunities and stuff. So it was an honor to be there, representing our light rail project and the joint venture. We had Women in Construction Week, this last month, and we had a great event that day, one of the days, Rosies of the Rail. And we included our women-owned DBE firms that are on the light rail project. And to see the individuals in the room and their excitement of being a part of the Rosies of the Rail team, very, very cool. Let's see, we've had various meetings, and Ashante and John, who's not on right now, can agree. There's a lot going on when it comes to the rail project, and with the council's presentation earlier, with the change orders and stuff, it's definitely not an easy one for everyone. And to have the magnitude of DBEs we have working on this project, being able to give them their resources and partnerships to try and ensure success for everyone is an interesting challenge. But it's also great to be able to be a part of assisting, the DBEs and everything. So those meetings continue forward. We're going to be doing some education outreach pieces over this next year, as we've been seeing where the assistance is needed, with invoicing and making sure the supporting documents are there. So clarity when it comes to approval of payment. That's probably going to be our first DBE education outreach event. So lots been happening, lots going to be happening. The other cool thing was I was like first question when I registered for this event, and I said, hey, I always need to learn about new DBEs or previous ones that I haven't met. I participated in Hennepin County's Small Biz Virtual Networking event and met 3, well, I already knew one of the contractors, but met 2 additional ones, and great event, and hoping to be able to bring them on to our project. So that is it, except for I have one more slide for DBE, I do believe. And it's our update on change orders. Yeah, the approved change orders through March 15th was 210 million, almost $211 million. Our DBE job participation to date is 20.46. And as Ashante showed in that previous slide, the percentage, not participation, the percentage did decrease, but it was also our winter months where on site we did not have the amount of contractors that we normally would. So of course you're going to see a slight decrease. So hopefully over the next couple months you'll see an increase again. Does anybody have any questions regarding the DBE participation? If not, that's all I have for now.
Yeah, Krista, this is Gilbert. How are you?
Hi, Han. Good. How are you? Sorry.
Very well,
Hi,
very
Gilbert.
well. So a quick question about this second bullet point. This 20.46, is that the DB participation in relation to change orders or overall project?
That is including the change orders.
Including
It's
the change orders.
entirety. Yep.
Okay. And then the second question I had, maybe it's to Nick, but I probably should ask it at this time. In relation to the settlement between LMJV and the council, where do the DBEs fall in terms of their change orders and the impact to their businesses? Where do they fall in that?
I understand what you're asking, Gilbert, and I knew somebody would ask the question. In regards to legalities of it, there shouldn't be that great of an impact, but in regards to the LMJV and our subcontractors, you should see an increase with that because of some of the items that were involved with the change orders, you know, with the growth of that monetary amount, include some of the work being done by our DBE contractors. I hope that answers it.
Okay.
I would also add, and hopefully, yes, Nick can chime in here. I know that part of within that agreement, the hope is that some of those outstanding ones can be processed a lot faster and quicker. And then also, oh, I lost my train of thought here. Anyways, Nick, help me out.
Yeah, no problem, Ashante. Sorry. So yeah, as far as change order management goes, I think it probably feels like we're a little stalled out as far as change orders are concerned, but we developed a way to process change orders a little bit quicker utilizing the settlement agreement, and we're at the final portions of that. We're waiting on something from the mediator right now, and as soon as we get that, then that'll release. You know, I think it's like 170 change orders under $250,000 that will be processed through eBuilder. And then we also have some higher dollar value change orders that we're continuing to negotiate with LMJV. And then if we have any issues, then we're going to utilize that dispute resolution process that I mentioned earlier. I'm hopeful that we can come to a negotiated amount and not need to really utilize that process, but it's there for a reason, you know, in case we can't agree on something. And so yeah, we're looking to move a lot of the change orders that are in the backlog. So I appreciate everybody's patience as we work through this process. I know it's probably been very difficult, Gilbert, as you're kind of talking about, you know, some of these small businesses and DBEs here. You know, it's just moving as part of the process of the agreement. And once we get through this, I think things are going to start moving a little bit quicker, and you guys should start seeing some funding to these change orders that you'll be allowed to bill to. I'm hopeful in the next month, but we'll see.
So to add, you guys, what Nick had to say, just to provide some clarity for some of the attendees for today's meeting, in regards to the change order stuff that we're talking about, some of it is for work that's already completed, but some of it's also for work that's still yet to be completed. So with what my first answer was to Gilbert was for that work still coming. And the very important piece that Ashante brought up and that Nick responded to is we do have DBEs that have performed some major work for us that we are waiting. They are patiently.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's patience.
Yeah, and we do too. And we the LMJV is doing everything we can, along with our partners Ashante and John with them at council, on keeping the DBEs aware of where we are at with everything, because as soon as they can get the money, they are going to get their money. And Gilbert, you know how very passionate I am about ensuring that as much as I can do my, but so everybody understands there's two parts to the change order. There's the work already completed and then the work yet to come. And note that the LMJV takes this very serious and understands, the relationships and the needs for the finances. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Krista.
All right, if there's no more questions, we can go to the next for the systems.
All right, thank you, Ashante. This is Chris Gannon with APJV. I'll talk about the systems project. So, like Nick said, with the settlement of the LMJV stuff, the dates for our access is impacted by that. So a lot of our access dates got moved into 2023. So this year is going to be kind of similar to last year as far as our field work. We're going to be doing some traction power substation foundations and things like that. But in the near term here, for the 1 month look ahead, we're doing a lot of build out still at our storage facility in Golden Valley to accept all the material that's going to be coming in for the project. We have another substation being delivered in Gunner. It's a Gunner substation. It's TPS 301. And then once work starts at the next station, which is identified as Wooddale, Gunner will be doing some communications work for us at that station, putting it in back boxes for the communications work. So our main subs in the next month or so for DBE is Gunner, our Gunner, and Public Solutions helping out with the notifications of our work. Next slide, please. So our change orders through the early March are just over $12 million. Our DBEs that are participating, the majority are Gunner. You can see just over $2 million. Generation Cable, 413,000, and then Carlo for the OCS poles, about 280,000. Our DBE change order participation to date is just under 21%, and our job participation to date is just over 17%. And I think that's it for a DBE update from us, unless anyone has any questions.
Yeah, Chris, this is Gilbert again. My question is about your change order. So I understand it's not probably part of the LMJV settlement process, but what is the process for your change order approval? I mean, this here change orders approved through March is this amount, but are there any other outstanding ones that would impact DBEs?
There's additional change orders that have DBE participation, but we're working through them as we get our change orders negotiated with the council. We negotiate our change orders with our subs, our DBE subs, and so far to date, things have been going very well as far as timeliness of getting our stuff approved from the council and then passing that on to the our DBEs, our DBE subcontractors.
Thank you, Chris. So I take it that this $12 million that is approved through March, that is in the process of being paid out then, right? Or billed and paid out.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chris, and turn it back over to Scott.
Great, thanks. So the next Next item will be the Ellis Black Franklin OMF building modification, which I think Shanti, it looks like there's some minimal activity on that, so we didn't have an update on that. So we're just going to move forward to the workforce participation reporting, and Elaine will take it from here.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
So for February, LMJV logged 28,623 hours. Since the start of the project, they had logged 1,923,252 hours. For the month, they came in at 5.2% for women. They're at 8.1% overall. For people of color and Indigenous people, they came in at 22.86%, and they're at 23.34%. There were no hours that were reported as unspecified, and overall they're at 0.64% of their hours as unspecified. Next slide, please. So here's the breakdown on the hours in February. As I said, 0 hours for unspecified. White women logged, or worked, I should say, 763 hours, or 3%. Women of color worked 724 hours, or also about 3%. Men of color worked 5,820 hours, which came in at about 20%. And white men came in at 21,315 hours, or 74%. Next slide, please. And on the civil project, the trucking hours that are being counted towards the project goals, MBE has worked 26,639 hours. ZTS has worked 4,372 hours. Rock-On's hours have been stagnant for a couple months now, 1,375 hours. And next slide, please. The systems contracts with Aldrich Parsons, they worked 120 hours in February, and since the start of their work, they've worked 2,900 hours. They did not have any participation by women during the month of February. They're at 10.96 overall for women. They did have 28.33% for POCI, and overall they're at 13.95%. And they have no unspecified hours on their project. Next slide, please. For the Franklin project, this slide says they worked 44 hours, but I just received the March the payroll certified through end of March. And actually in February, they worked 44 hours. However, they did not have any women or people of color and Indigenous people working on the project. So those numbers stay the same. But based on the 44 hours, they were at, overall, they're at 8.89% and for women and 23.21% for POCI, 4.59% of unspecified hours. And there were a couple of their subs that had entered their hours late. That's what the discrepancy is. And go to the next slide. Basically, the percentage is that it was all white men that worked on the project, and that did not change with the actual 100 hours. Excuse me. Apologize, that was my phone. And I believe that is all I have, unless anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Any questions before we keep moving? All right. Well, I'll be excited to see how those hours develop, hopefully continue to increase as we get into a busier season. I know relatively few hours, and particularly few hours for APJV at this point. So hopefully as kind of hours ramp up, we'll also continue to see greater numbers on those trends. So appreciate it. So now turn it over to Krista to go through LMJV's workforce activities.
Wonderful. Thank you, Scott. All right, so we're going to buzz through some of these kind of quick because I have some pictures that I am very excited to share with you along with events. So here's what we have a month in a picture. There's certain things that happen every single month to help with our workforce development. We have our monthly subcontractor meetings that are mandatory for every subcontractor that's on site for the previous month and the upcoming month. Each month we do ask a separate meeting, a question regarding, their participation in different things. The other great new thing about the subcontractor meetings is I have a co-partner now moving forward on these meetings, and that is Elaine from the Department of Human Rights. We're excited to have her on board with us. Elaine and I have done this before with other projects, and it's just been great to have that other piece of knowledge and support that can be given to our subcontractors is great. And just real quick, in regards to the subcontractors participation, Elaine and I will be working together on reviewing the good faith effort reports that our subcontractors submit to me each month. And those that maybe have high workforce hours, but low good faith effort report and, lack of outreach efforts and stuff, we will be meeting with those subcontractors, and there will be accountability pieces put in place in our work plan for regarding that. The other thing we do on the monthly meeting is our internal team. We are continually meeting regarding mentorship and spring workforce and such. Just like there's another team, my superintendents and I discuss weekly our workforce and also our DBE work going on each of the areas, segments of the project, so that we know if there's any questions or additional help needed. We have our monthly good faith effort meetings with you guys, our monthly DWAC meetings, as well as my meetings. And I have on here weekly, but I think Thomas would agree, we're almost on a daily basis now with building strong communities because of the great things happening right now as we're getting close to graduation. So that's kind of a monthly regular nutshell picture. If you could go to the next slide, please. Last month was a busy, very, very busy month, which is great. As you can see, the various meetings that took place, a lot of training started last month and will continue moving forward as we're doing a lot of onboarding with bringing back superintendents and foremen and subs. We had WIC Week, Women in Construction Week. We had our Rosies of the Rail panel with people both workforce side and DBE. We had a great, very many mentorship program planning meetings. We're getting excited to roll out in June the LMJV mentorship program, which will encompass a couple of our brand new apprentices we are bringing on board, as well as some returning first and second year apprentices will be a part of our mentorship program. Our weekly meetings with HR that I have regarding tracking our enter and exit each month, so we can see, who we have coming on. But the other important piece, and Scott, with our meeting that we had yesterday, the exit, when somebody gets transferred or laid off, because of the lower work needed, that stuff is easily tracked. But the part that I really want to pay attention to is that voluntary leave. Those individuals that for some reason are leaving their trade or industry, trying to connect with them beforehand is very important to me. So that's why we're going to be tracking this information. We've had mock interviews with the Building Strong Communities program. Boy, the individuals we had from the light rail project that were a part of the mock interviews were so excited after those interviews for that next piece. And that was on March 29th, and Thomas had talked about it. We had the light rail project facts presentation. We'll have to give it to you guys sometime here because it's a really cool presentation. But it was followed with what we called Talk with the Trades event, where we had actual people from our field team, as well as our subcontractors and our systems partner, being able to tell the individuals that are in the program more, answer their questions one-on-one instead of the big group settings and stuff. And extremely successful event. So if you could do the next slide, please. Here's a couple pictures, you guys, from the Rosies of the Rail event. Here was our panel up above. We have Tina, who is our individual who helps oversees the quality and change orders on our project. To the right of her, with the white sweater on, is the Aldrich representative, Brenda Reinhardt, project manager. She kind of is a go-to do-all, with Aldrich. We have Mary who is in the middle. She's been with CS McCrossin for over 20 years. She is a key to the success of kind of pulling us all together in different areas. She wears many different hats and is just a treat. The next individual with the striped sweater is Alicia. Some of you have had the pleasure of meeting her. I wish for someday you all to meet her. She is one of our project engineers. Assistant, she actually is a Mankato State engineer student, and their program that they have set up for construction now is actually where you're working during your education, and she has many things that she has to do because of it. Like, she's participating quite a bit with me on presenting and different things like that. Well, then she has to in turn go to her class and talk about who she's working with on the project and why. Very, very great individual. Her story of how she got to where she is today is one that really opens a lot of people's eyes of the, kind of the road to get to where you are. The next individual with the glasses and baseball hat is a current field cement finisher, not on the light rail project. She is going to be phased in at some point when she decides she's assisting the cement finishers union, their training center currently. This individual I have worked with since the day she started her apprenticeship. Back during the state capitol project, what she brought to the table for the attendees at this was over the top, and then the picture below was the on-site tour that they got after the Rosies of the Rail panel. Next slide, please. Here shows, Thomas, here's just a couple of the great pictures from that evening. Here was the Talk with the Trades event that we had with the Building Strong Communities program. You guys, the people that we had from the LMJV include, if you see the bottom right picture of bottom right for me, that's Dale Even and Manny Walk. Those are our two project leads that were there the entire time of this. I mean, I'd say we had 24 people from the LMJV at this event. There's lots going on. We talk about recruitment, but as you guys have heard me talk about lately, my big key for the success of our project is the retention, which we talk about the mentorship and everything like that, but it's our relationships. And before I go into our cool slides from today, I really want to let you guys know, and the community-based organizations that are on this call right now are the key people that I need to connect with, especially moving forward. And one of the big things I would like to do with each one of you is to sit down and meet with you, not just about what recruitment pieces you have, but what other stages of construction assistance you can give, not just the LMJV, but our subcontractors and our workforce. So look forward to connecting with each one of you. The other thing we will be doing, and I'm looking at a June date, we don't have it scheduled yet, is to host an event where each of you, the community-based organizations, get to give a presentation to our subcontractors about the services you guys can provide them, followed by that like social event where you can more one-on-one connect with each one of our subcontractors. You have great resources that I would like to utilize, but I also really want our subs to be able to know, what they can be doing also. So there's that piece. And if I could share with you guys, let's see how good I am at this. I think I got it. I have photos from today's event. And I will just buzz through them real quick because as you can see, can you all see them now? They're kind of silly. The beginning are our great captains from today's event. We have our safety representative, Dan. He's one of our safety directors. Followed by Thomas. I don't know if I can you guys see these okay or not?
Yeah, we can see them.
Yeah, we can see them.
Okay.
Thanks, Krista.
So I'm just scrolling through the document. I did them so quick because Thomas and I had such a great event. It was like, oh, I was going to put them in PowerPoint. So sorry. There's Norma, one of the advocates for building strong communities. Great thing with Norma, as you guys know, she's Twin Cities Urban League. But actually, if you can tell by the hard hat, she is wearing a Swanson and Youngdale's hard hat. She started her career not at the Urban League, but actually as a painter. She was a union painter for many, many years. We found out today, we thought we knew each other because of the Urban League general contractor connection. I used to work for 3M Construction, and so did she when she was with Swanson and Youngdale. So we actually, her project manager and I worked together daily, and I actually met Norma. So that was about 30 years ago, you guys. Not 25, more or less. So anyways, there's Norma, great advocate, great part of the team. Let's see. There's a big close-up of the two of us. And there's Ashley, our project engineer I talked about. Here's the start of the tour. Look at the mud they got to walk through today, you guys. Big puddles. And there they are. There's one of the bridges that we are working on. Now, if you look behind, there's a big set of scaffolding. We're getting through the mud. We're getting there. Here's what they all got to climb up today. It looks easy. Ask Thomas, it's not easy. All right, here's the team up on top of the bridge. Look at all that rebar. They got to actually see what it looks like for the rebar and other areas of construction. There's a great view of Hopkins and such, looking down from the rails. Here's our safety director talking to the group. Here's another cool picture of them going up the rise of the deal. There's another one, Thomas smiling, having a fun old time. Let's see here. This was one of our field laborers. He's one of the foremen on the project. His back is to us in the yellow hoodie. Great individual for the team to talk to, answer the questions about all of the various roles a laborer plays on a project. It's got stuck. Here's the view coming down. Those lovely steps that they got to climb down. Here's Ashley giving a presentation at one of our stations. There are 15 stations on the project. By the end of this year, 5 of those stations are scheduled to be complete. And there's another really cool picture of the station. Gunner Electric did the wiring in it, by the way, everybody. DBE contractor. A lot of the work here you see was done by the DBE, some of the DBE firms. And that is it for our slide presentation. All right, any questions about our outreach and workforce? Thomas, you have your hand up.
No, I was just trying to do a reaction and I ended up raising my hand.
I love it. I love it, you guys. Thank you, guys. I see Sheila and Julie's notes. Very, very cool. I seriously look forward to it. I know we've talked before in the past, but wheels are moving forward. This will be great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the updates, Krista. Just my one question actually is, in sort of thinking about as we move forward, just curious as to your thoughts, and I know this is a bigger conversation, but how do we, or how do you see, working with subs, particularly on trying to, help them, and what things do you think have been particularly helpful in terms of trying to help them, do effective outreach, but also, once they've brought people in, take effective steps around retention? So just curious as to your thoughts on that, because I think there is a longer conversation about that, and we've got enough time left on this project that retention, I think, is going to play a critical role. So just thoughts on that.
Very cool. I love the question, Scott, and to hear your support regarding or the importance of the retention piece it helps me continue forward because, like I've said, there's recruitment, advocacy, retention, and education, and those last two pieces, the R and E, are going to be they're my goals on the project, which means they're then also part of it is the inclusion of my subcontractors or the subcontractors. They're mine, whatever. But the big piece is when it comes to the subcontractors, is ensuring sharing of information with the subcontractors regarding the community-based organizations and the great things that they have to bring to the table is one of the pieces. The other piece is sharing our mentorship program, sharing that the guidelines that we are in the process of setting up and working forward with those. Minger Construction is one, Gunner Electric, and a few others are already on board with wanting to be a part of that mentorship program to be able to really work closely. A lot of companies already are, but the education piece is on truly what it is with relationships, passing on our pieces that we're utilizing, but also growing in regards to the respectful workplace training that takes place. Those are two of the biggest keys right there, Scott, but also noting the importance of the LMJV holding our subs accountable regarding their outreach activities. I can't hold them accountable for their percentages, but what I can do is ensure, well, to a part, is working with them each month. Like I talked about that Elaine and I will be doing, we will be looking at the workforce hours, their workforce participation numbers, and their good faith efforts. And, kind of looking at that and giving resources and expectations on, I'll just give a great example. Say a sub has high workforce hours, but very low participation, and they say, well, I reached out to our union and they don't have anybody. Well, my next question always is then, well, did you talk with Summit Academy? Did you work with Building Strong? Did you reach out to the Urban League or Goodwill Easter Seals? And they say, in the past, the answer used to automatically be, well, my union doesn't have anybody. Well, that's not at all an acceptable answer for us anymore. And so it's what is their commitment? They all, for those that have over 1,000 hours on the project, they're required to have an active work plan with us and to give updates and everything, to give those good faith effort reports. And, bottom line, and the exact scale has not been set yet. That's something Dale and I are working very closely with others on is, if a sub remains in non-compliance, bottom line, we can withhold payment as part of their subcontract agreement. I hope we don't ever have to get to that, but we will have those standards set up in place moving forward for part of our work plan. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that does. Thanks, Krista. Thomas, did you have a question?
Well, just a comment. Many of you on this call may know that I play a dual role, not only as a program manager for Building Strong Communities, but I'm also in HR workforce development for Met Council. And one of the things that I think that we need to do better in order to assist with answering that question is to get the word out to the subcontractors about our CCAR program that we came out with last year. It's the Council Contractor Apprenticeship Reimbursement Program. And a lot of the subs don't know that if they do hire individuals that have come through Building Strong Communities, again, if they're trying to, increase their participation, if they hire any of our apprentices, they get reimbursed up to $11,500 for the hours that apprenticeship is working, not just on this project, but any Met Council project. And again, in the grand scheme of things, may not be, that much money, but for a smaller subcontractor, that may be the motivation that they need, because as we know, some of the production goes down when you have new apprentices on there. And so that council contractor apprenticeship reimbursement is a way to kind of, offset some of the lost production by pairing that new person up with that experienced person. So again, getting that word out that there is motivation to help you out with with your participation is something that I think we could do better at the council. Minger, we've mentioned them a couple of times. They have definitely utilized that CCAR program. Stonebrook, Benson, I think a few others have used it, but there's a lot more that if we could just get the word out to all of our subs, they might utilize that. And that's $11,500 per apprentice that they hire that works on council projects.
We love it. We look forward to utilizing it. I do have to add one other piece when it comes to what we do look at with the subcontractors, with what they submit to us on a month, per month. We do also look at their company as a whole with what their participation is, because some of the smaller companies, even though they may have large numbers on the project, we also take a look at how many other projects they have going on. And the majority of them, especially, these are highway heavy crews, and everything. So to look at their company as a whole is also a big piece for ours. That's all for me.
Great. Thanks, Krista. I appreciate all those thoughts. All right, turn it over to Mike to give the update on APJV workforce activities.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Mike from APJV. And so Chris mentioned that, 2023 is going to look a lot like 2022. I think through 2020, 2021, we've had in early 2022, we've had a total of 2,900 hours, with 120 hours being in February. I think we had three guys work to 120 hours for gunner, so not much. I think we have had one person work in March for about 140 hours to receive the traction power substations over at the Honeywell plant in the Golden Valley. So it's not going to be much this year. We're expected the earliest to get on site will be on July. I mean, gunner's going to be doing a little bit here and there, maybe a little bit here and there, but it's going to be piecemeal. So, that's going to be our work this year. So, maybe 10,000 hours in 2022. It's kind of what I'm hearing. But in March, we were able to celebrate the Women in Construction Week and the get-togethers and various, in person and as well as on Zoom meetings. So that's always good to see all the women out there. We participated in mock interviews at Summit Academy on March 25th. Always good. And then, it's building strong communities. We had Brenda and Jason work with, talking to building strong communities, and really had positive things to say about that whole program there. And many of our, subcontractors are working under the LMJV. So, when you talk about that retention, and we're seeing that avenue, hopefully these people are there in these trades, can help transfer over to our scope when that's done. So hopefully we can, as we go into 2027 over the next 5 years, hopefully, be opportunities to go to the civil, go to the systems, with the same subcontractors that are being used on, on both contracts. So that's where we stand now. Not a whole lot. So let's hurry up and wait. That's what we're doing. And I'll keep coming back.
Great. I appreciate those updates. Any questions for Mike? So hearing none, we'll keep moving to the committee discussion section, and I'll turn it over to Ashanti for the moment.
Thanks, Scott. So as I mentioned before, we have the opportunity now that the council has moved to public meetings, in-person public meetings starting April 25th. We definitely wanted to have the conversation in terms of how this committee wants and chooses to move forward with how we conduct our business and how we conduct our meetings. And we've had some some internal discussions, both with the regional administrator, also with OGC. And one thing that has been made evident to us is that this meeting is not subject to some of the open meeting laws or the open meeting laws that really govern the council and standing committee meetings. So it gives us a lot of leeway and discretion in terms of how we want to move forward. So we are not required, and no one has mandated that we go back to in-person meetings. So like I said, it's really going to be up to us. So this means we can choose to remain virtual or return to meeting in person as we did before at the project office location. So we wanted to have the conversation and open it up to committee member input and hear what you have to say, and with the goal of having a vote finally to decide how we move forward. And the only other guidance I would ask or that I would add is this. With all that said, of what I said before in terms of open meeting law and how it does or does not pertain to this particular meeting, I will say in some of the guidance that we received and the input from the regional administrator and others is it's going to be in everyone's best interest that we do move one way or the other, meaning that the choice would be to remain virtual or go back to in-person versus trying to do a hybrid. That complicates things both, not only from a logistics standpoint, but also in terms of what sort of rules and policies do apply trying to make this a hybrid. So that's kind of the two options that we have realistically is all the way virtual or all the way in person. So with that, I open it up for feedback or any comments, opinions that people might have or would like to offer at this time.
Ashanti, this is Alex from Twin Cities Rise. So my question is, so I hear the complications of a hybrid offer, but my question is there any consideration to there being dual, meaning certain ones that can be live, so maybe it's once a quarter, and then the other one be virtual. So not having them be virtual and in person at the same time, as much as it is having the option for some of them to be virtual and some to be in person.
That is a very good question. One I didn't anticipate. There was no complication really mentioned with that. And, now that you've posed the question, I could see that, there might be some sort of meeting that would be beneficial to have in person, especially at the project office, if there was something planned or something going on. So with that, we haven't received any specific guidance or opinions about that at this time. So I would say it's on the table.
Thanks. Yeah, because that would be, like I said, my personal preference. Like, I want to be able to meet everybody at some point face to face. That would be important just from a networking standpoint. But there is also some value, not even some. There's a tremendous amount of value of me being able to hop off one thing and hop into this, knowing that I could be here. If I had to get in my car and travel to somewhere, the ability for me to be present may not be as consistent as it has been because I can log into something. So that's just my position on it.
Excellent points, for sure. Please go ahead.
Did you like if I click on the hand raising thing, I won't know how to turn it off. So I appreciate it. And I absolutely love what Alex brought to the table. So my recommendation from the LMJV would be that we did a quarterly in-person one, with the presentation, with all that, with networking followed, that opportunity to have those one. I think that would be seriously amazing. I was initially going to say I wanted to go back to fully in person, just because those that already know me know that I like being able to have the roundtable discussions in person and stuff like that. But yet the being able to present to everybody online like this, and then to be able to hop into right that next meeting is also so very important. So if we can do that duo, where quarterly we have the in-person, but then the other month, the fill-in months, do it the video conference. I like it. Then I can bring my subs too that need to present.
Anyone else?
Yeah, this is John. I like the idea of a meeting quarterly. I also have we brought this up in the beginning of the project. The project office is a great place if you have transportation. So it would really be great to we considered this when we were meeting in person before, back in the day, that perhaps we do a community center somewhere close to the light rail or somewhere closer to transportation accessibility for folks. It's kind of interesting. We all brought up, we did a memorial for Mel Reeves, and we always talked about how Mel, got rides from people, right? So it's really important for us to remember that, because your office is, as much as it's Metro Transit, it's a tough one to get to if you're on the bus. So I would like to propose that at some time we, look at whatever. It could be a nonprofit, a community center close to the rail, who knows what. But somewhere where, if the public did want to attend one of our pieces on that quarterly meeting, that we would make that accessible like we are right now. And I realize a lot of people don't come to this, but even for members, back to Mel and stuff, it's just kind of a nice thing to be able to do that. So.
I see Krista is offering in the chat that
to host if anytime you want to do that.
And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read and see what people are putting in the chat too. So I'm going to read it out loud just in case we do have people listening from the public. A lot of support for Alex's recommendation and Krista's idea. Yep, I prefer to continue virtual, but like Alex's recommendation. On behalf of AAWC, we would like to see these meetings continue to be virtual as we start to ramp up the busy construction season. With the location and the travel needed for many of us, it could prove to be quite difficult. And then I agree with John's point about not meeting at the project office. The LMJV would be happy to sponsor the meeting in person at our office. It sounded like someone was going to chime in. Go ahead.
I did chime in. This is Tony O'Brien from Summit Academy. We'd be happy to sponsor an event if you needed a location.
Awesome. I also would definitely consider, well, I'm sure that we could, in terms of the council, look at something at the Haywood in the chambers or one of the larger conference rooms at Haywood. It's right on several bus lines and close to the light rail. But again, I'll just offer my feedback. I think the virtual aspect definitely has makes it convenient, and I think our attendance has benefited from being virtual because it is, in my opinion, easier for folks to attend virtual. But if I'm being honest, I do like Alex's caveat of being able to have the option to have a meeting, whether it be quarterly or periodically, to be in person. That you just can't replace that type of networking and interaction in a virtual setting. But those are my I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Elaine's comments in the chat. Yes, so that's my opinion.
Ashanti, the project office is very dusty. And when we were meeting in person, I always ended up having asthma attacks. And Mary Elena from LMJV also would get really sick. That's why I made that comment. And we used to have the interchange meetings at Haywood, so I'm well aware of the ventilation system there.
Good. No, and I didn't mean to make light of your situation, Elaine, but I definitely too, especially given my role in the Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity, I am really keen to the point that John brought up about access and folks being able to, not everyone having transportation.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, and I'm glad you brought that up, John.
This is Scott. One thing that I'll offer is Human Rights could potentially host in the future as well. Our office is in St. Paul at Fairview and University. That's right by a light rail stop and right across from Goodwill. So that's in that Griggs Midway building. So that's potentially an option too. We are most of our staff are working remotely, but we are doing some in-person work and have been trying to bring folks back in for particularly collaborative type events. And so I think this idea of really trying to focus in on if we're going to do some like a quarterly in-person meeting, it was mentioned I think by Krista, the idea of doing networking, things like that, I think has a lot of value. So open to exploring that. I'm not sure exactly what the needs are for a space, since I never attended any of the in-person versions of these meetings in the past, but that's potentially something on the table too.
Other thing, so to that point, since there's quite a few people, it seems like that has really cool spaces, so I'm excited about that. It's like if we're planning to do it quarterly, that's for a year, right? So even if we rotated them through, so it doesn't have to be at the same spot in person, correct?
Correct. So that's definitely, I was just about to mention that. Again, quarterly, like you said, would be for a year. We could rotate them. Summit has definitely offered. I've been over there. They've got some good space for meetings. If any other community organizations have the space or location and they want to also offer up as one of the rotation spots, that'd be great. I just want to confirm that I'm hearing that really the two options on the table, just from the discussion, is to either stay virtual or to go virtual with the flexibility of having, quarterly in-person meetings.
And just keep in mind with the light rail, you guys, the one time a year maybe that we host it, it could be followed by a project tour, walking tour from our office.
I think that's a great idea, Krista. This is Julie Brecky. I mean, just having it somewhat close and to the work at hand, I think that's a great idea.
I agree. I think that would be nice, actually.
Any other discussion? Let me say, yep. Agreed, Krista. Great idea. How much space is needed? I don't know. Like Scott, my experience at the council has been all pandemic, so I I don't have any other experience at the council other than maybe a brief month or so of being in the office.
It's like 30 is what's in the chat, so that's fair. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. If there's no more discussion, Scott, if you could do the roll call and you and each member indicate virtual or I don't even know. I haven't come up with a real snazzy kind of description for the virtual with quarterly in person. There we go.
Or just call it hybrid.
See, I was trying to stay away from that because then it sounds like
hybrid is a different. I like yours. Your quarterly. What'd you say? Virtual with quarterly in person. That works.
Yeah.
Hybrid is like they have to do both at the same time. Is what comes to mind there.
Yeah.
Well as no was right.
Yep.
All right. So how about this? Should we entertain a motion for and vote on the quarterly or primarily virtual with a quarterly in-person meeting, and then we're just voting on one thing, and we can see if that motion carries? Does that seem like a reasonable thing to vote on for folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is the committee will hold meetings primarily virtually with a quarterly in-person meeting. Does that sound fine for the motion to vote on?
Yes.
Okay, will someone make that motion?
This is Julie Brecky. I'll make that motion.
Okay, thanks, Julie. And do we have a second?
Second is Alex and Eric.
All right, thank you, Alex. All right, so I will take the roll. So so a yes vote would be for that, a no vote would be to not move to that, in which case we discuss something else. So I guess Ashanti.
Yes.
All right, and I am a yes vote for that. Do we have anybody from the Minneapolis Building and Construction Trades Council, either Barry or Jenny? So no vote from them.
No, they're not here.
Jenny in the chat.
Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna keep moving. Gilbert, how do you vote?
You know, I will probably say probably abstain at this point.
Okay. Abstain. All right. Marvin Smith.
I vote yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Sheila Olson.
Yes.
Thank you. Julie Brecky.
Yes.
Thank you. Tony O'Brien.
Yes.
Thank you. Alex Merritt.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from City of Minneapolis present? Either Leslie or Daniel?
No, we don't, not today.
Okay, not a problem. And let's see. I think that is everybody of the members who are here. So it looks like we got 1, 2, 3.
Scott, this is John O'Phelan. I don't think
Yeah.
you said my name, but I'll go on as
sorry.
a yes. That's okay.
Great. I'm trying to copy paste this list from a PDF, and I may have accidentally deleted a few folks. So hold on. Let me make sure I screwed this up a little bit. So.
This is Maura Brown, and you missed me also. So I'll vote yes.
I'm sorry, folks.
No worries.
And yeah, see, this is the danger of cut and paste. And it looks like Kendra votes yes in the chat, and Krista. So. Okay.
Sheila Copy from MnDOT.
Sorry, couldn't get myself off mute. Yes.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with this. It's always easier to do voting in person. All right. I guess I will just say, is there anyone who I should have called to vote who I failed to call to vote? Right. So hearing no more, looks like the motion carries. We had all yes votes with a couple of abstentions. So looks like that is our plan moving forward. So, all right, I think we can go on to the next slide here. So slide 44, please. So next we just wanted to have a little discussion about potential new members, and we need to identify another organization or agency that's able to provide additional small business expertise and resources to the committee. And in some past meetings, there were suggestions that we prioritize representatives from the trades with the most hours left on the project, and other thoughts as well. So just wanted to open it up to discussion on that for potential new member organizations.
And just to add a little bit more context to that, one, specifically when we're talking about small business resources organizations, we're talking about a organization that would basically replace META, and organizations that work with small businesses to provide support, resources, technical assistance, those sorts of things. And then also, this was in part of the ask to bring this to the chair. If we have recommendations, he's going to want to hear what those recommendations are. I think this committee is the best resource to provide either organizations or names for consideration.
This is Maura, and I would propose Neighborhood Development Center as a potential replacement for META in DC.
Thank you, Maura.
I don't know if this qualifies, but I just ran across it this week, but I'll throw it out there, but I know it's women owned, and I know they're DB qualified, but MN Best Inc., like Minnesota Best Inc., maybe the name of it.
And you're talking about Young Kim?
Yes. I said, not sure if if she qualifies or not. I just came across her, but
Yeah, that does make me think of Women Venture and also the African Development Corporation that is similar to NDC, but NDC was on my mind too, Maura.
Okay, I'm just writing this down.
Another potential would be MCCD, the Metropolitan Consortium of Community Developers. They do some small business support.
I'm sorry, MCD?
MCCD. I'll write it in the chat.
Yeah, they kind of work with all the community development corporations.
Any others? I think Scott mentioned this, that previously we talked about in terms of additional trade unions, those that are contributing the most hours on the project. I think that's what we will go with unless someone has a specific recommendation or differing thought upon that.
Hey Ashanti, this is John. I just have a question. Do you know when that starts? When the I know we voted on having more unions at the table now. Is there a date that, like, is it June or something, or?
Well, the plan of action will be for us to reach out to, well, these will be the ones considered, and then we'd reach out to the various organizations and to gauge their interest. I wish I had a specific timeline, but I think June is realistic.
Because yeah, it seems like with the unions that it'd be easier to pull them together. I know with the organizations, you have to find the right staff and person to make the monthly commitment. And I also think I just want to mention this to the team here, that when we recruit new people, I think it's really important for us to consider why we're recruiting them and what is in it for them to invest their time. Most of the people at the table are we have senior management, directors, CEOs, lots of time put in on this, and we want to make sure that when we call them, that what do they get out of it, right? And what is their purpose of it? I'm going to go back to the nonprofits that Christy mentioned, that connecting with the subcontractors. We don't see that much, and we have a lot of nonprofits at the table, but we really don't. We basically focus a lot on BSC, yet there's other training organizations right here at the table. I think it's really critical for us to, as members, to decide why are we bringing somebody on, and what are they going to get out of it that will both contribute to our project, but also be more fulfilling for that organization to take that precious time of theirs and invest it and have a say on something. So, that's just my opinion about this, because I wonder about members at the table here, if when they started 3, 4, maybe even up to 5 years ago, if you did early planning, I was part of that with Barry and some others. How did we? What was in it? What's in it for them? And why did we bring them on? And I'd also like to challenge this whole group, and I don't know if we really have time today, but when is an appropriate time to leave, where you leave and you leave in with respect to the group? Because we've never thought about this, but if 5 people left in the next month of these members, we'd be really scrambling hard, right? But if we knew that, you know what, I thought I was committing 5 years, 3 years, and now I'm committing 6 or 7, that's a bigger commitment, right? And it's like, well, how many of us want to stay on for 5 or 6, 7 years? I think we need to have discussions like this about membership, and then what are we going to get out of that membership to take that precious time and really get something that's healthy. So I would challenge us to do that. I think this conversation is good, and I think the organizations you picked out are good, and I think you should pursue them. But I think we don't really have a message, because a lot of us just came into this and we weren't sure what the full circle was. For me, it feels like it's been a real more advisory, where I'm being told a lot. It's like a report out, but there hasn't been a lot of report kind of best practice, best models that we've worked on. The BSC thing has been great. There's always good to hear the great efforts that are going out. But we all know, in the end, I don't know if there's one organization that's moved more than a 1.5 percentage points of contractors haven't raised their equity more than 1.5%. I've shared that with you before. I'll share it with you again. So we don't see a lot of equity going on, but I'd love to be able to know, okay, well, what are we getting out of it then? And when we call these organizations or these unions, what are they going to get out of it? And if we want the unions at the table, are we going to be able to ask them, like, has anybody called you last month? Because that's retention. You called somebody back, now that second year apprentice maybe has a chance for a third year. So I think I love what we're doing, but I don't know if we've dug well enough to if people are getting true fulfillment out of their time spent and what their commitment is. I'll leave it at that. It's a lot I said, I realize.
I'll just jump in. I mean, I think that's a great point, John. I mean, I think we should have that longer conversation about, if there are folks who say, look, it's time for me to cycle out, I think we should put that on our agenda maybe for next month, so we can have some of those discussions, because, this project is now looking at several more years, and I think that's fair. And I think, yeah, as we're trying to bring community folks in, I think you're right that folks are, going to be motivated by feeling like they're having an impact. And I think it's one thing to be informed about a big project, which I think is great. And I do think we want to make sort of structural space for, folks to share their expertise, with, both the government entities and with the contractors working on the project about, hey, we're doing this thing, and this is working. Is this something you'll consider adopting? Is this something we can work into the system? Because I think, people want to feel like they have impact, and, genuinely, which I think is great. And so, yeah, I think we should have that sort of set up in our conversations. And I think we want to continue to push, because I think, I would love to see this project finish with higher numbers than where we're at now. And I think clearly, we know there are strategies that work, and there are strategies that have worked on other projects where we've seen, gains over time, where projects that started off doing okay, managed to implement some, tailored solutions. And I know it's going to be different project to project, industry to industry, but there are things we can do that are going to increase impact. And I think having the right community partners at the table, providing expertise on those, probably makes that even more effective. So I think, as we make this pitch for others to join, I definitely think that that's a entirely.
Yeah, I think those are definitely valid points, and for sure from a council perspective, moving forward, one of the main things that we hope to get out of this is that we have other stuff coming. Blue line extension. There's lots of BRT work going on, major capital programs coming up. And we do want to benefit from the expertise that the panel members bring that will inform not only this project, but making these numbers go up, but also informing the other work that's coming down the pipe in the industry at whole. Because if we're still having these same conversations, once Blue Line and some of these other projects kick off, then yes, we've not reaped the benefits. And also with some of the funding for infrastructure and other things that are coming to our region, we want to be prepared to implement any ideas that come from this group, and be able to back them with resources and other things. So if we are able to do those things, both have a focus and increase participation on this project, but also what are the lessons learned and what are the best practices that we can implement moving down the line in the industry and on these other projects, then I think we will be able to reap some of that mutual benefit that John was mentioning before. That's a good question. And the question is, does Blue Line fold into this at one point, or will another Great Minds Committee overlap? And if so, will some community partners be asked to attend both? I think that's an excellent question, and a question that I've been, and we've been mulling internally here at the council. Because I think the Blue Line, Gold Line, Purple Line, all of those are projects, and we would probably be tapping a lot of, if not most or all of you here on this committee. So the question is, does it make sense to, as opposed to just a report out, kind of a strategy that really encompasses and looks at, all of the council's what I would call major capital projects, as opposed to focusing on one. However, that's just kind of something that we've been kind of mulling and thinking about, and really haven't had any definitive conversations or decisions about. But I think it's valid to consider a different model, or a model that's similar to, not exactly the same, but similar to what MnDOT does, and not just looking at one project, but also looking at the other major projects. All right, any other comments or recommendations for members? And I did hear Scott's point that at some point we should put this on as an agenda item on one of our meetings. So we can look forward to that. I think we do have some things coming up for May, including a final report out from Alice Black. I believe we're also going to have a presentation, memory serves me correct, from John, and then escapes me what else, but we can add this as a discussion topic to an upcoming meeting.
Yeah, John and MVHR are going to partner on that.
Got it.
Data.
All right. I will bring these recommendations, and we will contact folks to gauge their interest and participation. Scott?
All right, so now's the time of the agenda where we do public comment. Just as a reminder, if you wish to offer public comment at a virtual meeting in the future, you can email, public.info@metc.state.mn.us in advance of the meeting to register. My understanding is that we did not have anyone register who wished to comment today. So no commenters from the public at this time.
We did not receive any. All right. Gave back everybody a whopping 5 minutes. I would like to say thank you for your participation. It doesn't go unappreciated, and definitely want to make sure that it is worthwhile, but it is much appreciated. Our next meeting will be held on Thursday,